Welcome to Pittsburgh Sportsline. This is our live TV show in the BP TV studio right here in Bethel Park. Watch us on Comcast 7 only in Bethel Park. Verizon 32 also in Bethel Park and every surrounding area from Nemacolin to Cranberry and Wexford. Thanks for watching us. Facebook page hit a new high, 6,643 likes. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Got a great show for you tonight. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Smoking Jim Frazier, who I'm a little disgruntled with, and Chip Hayner's here. Got a great show for you. Got some promos here. Might as well get these promos out of the way because Smoking Jim got to do some eating. So. Yeah, Olive Oils Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Sponsors our TV show with a pizza and a hoagie. Dig in, Smoking Jim. Check out the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. A lot of good things going on there. My man Bill Habather there won an award at Bethel Park, a Citizens Award. So, and our man Judge Ron Arnone presented it to him. So a lot of good stuff going on there. Check out the Bethel Park Historical Society of 5013. Donate what you can there. Stay Joey Strong. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. This is Joey Favis. Before DIPG and with the DIPG, the deadly brain cancer that killed him and took him on his 9 years old. Just very sad. Check out the Joey Favis Childhood Cancer Foundation. They're a 501c3. You can donate money, time. Check out their events that they got coming up there. Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. Al Levine of BPTV, Pittsburgh Sportsline. I produce this show and host it. He wants me to get volunteers like we have Steve, the Rookie of the Year Fisher here.
My man!
He missed the last 2 weeks for numerous reasons we can't discuss. Devin Shea's in there keeping us under proper control and making sure the picture looks great to all of you out there. So you could come in and help us out someday. Come on out. Join us at BPTV, 412-831-3304. Last but not least, Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you, $100 to $5,000. Get an app, bpcf.org. Check it out. They got money for your group in Bethel Park to help you guys out, do good things in Bethel Park. We appreciate it. All right, we start our show with What's on Your Mind, and that's sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, right down on 88 past Mineral Beach, Trax Farm. Can't miss him. Anything that runs on gas, he works on that. So check that out. Give him a call, 724-348-4715. He works on anything that runs on gas. Can't emphasize that enough. And he has a little buffet every Monday morning with some Bethel Park donuts. Smoking Jim's been invited. You guys are welcome to stop out there. Just head on down the road. Bethel Park Bakery is 1 mile from my house. I go 7 miles on Monday just to get a nice Bethel Park donut. All right, let's start this show with What's on Your Mind. Smoking Jim Frazier, except for guests on the 19th. We need him for the 12th.
Thanks.
That is next Monday night.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
coming at you.
You got
here, I'll give you my shirt so you can understand.
You look like Lev Bell when you snagged that.
We got to get into some Lev Bell talk eventually, I guess.
Yes, we do.
Today, but...
We might.
What's on my mind is it's time to make the Pittsburgh Steelers white again. Listen, we already got T.J. Watt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm with...
Hold it. Did you bring the race card out in the first minute? Folks, this is one of the earliest presentations of Smoking Jim Frazier on race, even if it's reverse discrimination.
And I'm with Chip Hayner. Chip brought up a name of a guy, and I agree wholeheartedly with Chip at Van Esch, linebacker from Boise State, who just happens to be white. 6'4", 6'5", 260 pounds. He can really run. And the reason I like him so much is because, one, he's not beat up a lot. He only started 1 year like TJ Watt. Excited about the opportunity to maybe get drafted in the first round. He's coachable. The upside is there. But a guy that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers should look at in the middle rounds or so is a white guy who is from Mount Lebanon, Troy Apke. I don't know if you know some of his people. His dad played at Pitt, and his dad played briefly with the Steelers. He was a scab when there was strike. He crossed the line. Is that what they call scabs? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If they cross a picket line, they're a scab.
Well, his dad was a scab.
If they're
former scab.
Well, if the guy's trying to feed his family, does it make it wrong?
There you go. But everybody from Mount Lebanon's rich. So, but here's the thing: the reason why I like this white kid is because he is the pure example of reverse discrimination that we're facing here in football at all levels. Here's a guy that should have been a cornerback. He's 6'2". He's former state 100-meter dash champion in high school.
You're kidding.
And at Penn State, he probably would have started at corner if he was black as a true freshman, but he had to wait to his senior year to start at safety. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. He has a 41-inch vertical jump, which is one of the best ever
I thought
at the combine.
Saquon did that.
Saquon did the same thing. And that's an NBA-type vertical jump. He bench pressed 225 pounds, 16 reps, which was very good for a defensive back. And he also ran a 40 in 4.34, the fastest of any defensive back at the combine. So with and he was a all-state wide receiver in high school, so you know he can catch. But he couldn't play cornerback because there's no such thing as a white cornerback. So he had to play safety. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he's available in the middle rounds, I would bring him in. Also, I'm going white again. There's a wide receiver that I really love from the University of Pennsylvania. Academic All-American, 6'3", 225 pounds, Justin Watson. The reason I like him so much, even though the Steelers are stacked at wide receiver, I think he'll be an eventual replacement for Eli Rogers, who's on his last year in 2018. But this guy does something that I only seen Jerry Rice do, and I can't understand why they can't teach this in receivers. When this guy when he gets a step on the defensive back, like Jerry Rice, he's able to gear down and sprint through the football, which makes it impossible to cover somebody because the defensive back is right there. He thinks the ball's coming here. Next thing you know, he's sprinting through the football. He does a great job, got great hands.
You got to have great coordination.
3-year All-American. It's just great hand-eye coordination, great hands, University of Penn, smart kid. And I like to get those 3 white guys at some point for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the best 2 players in this draft offensively, like Chip said, is Barkley. How you say the brother's first name?
Saquon.
Okay, I don't know.
Can you Saquon?
Yeah, I don't know these black names. But Saquon Barkley.
What happened to your Ebonics class?
It keeps changing.
Jim's a perfectly good one.
Yeah, that's it, man. Jim. I had to put a little smoking Jim on it just so I get to the hood. But defensively, the best defensive player I think in the draft, who will be probably there in the 3rd or 4th round because he went to an all-black school, is 6'3", 240 pounds. I mentioned him on the show before. Darius Leonard broke all Deacon Jones's records, tackling records. He's a tackling machine. I think that he'll be great. I think he can step in and be your next Shazier. As a rookie. 2 good feel-good stories that came out of the combine. One guy with one hand.
Yes, I was going to bring him up.
Yeah, Shaq Griffin, fastest linebacker in the history of the combine. Well, I only that ain't his full name. I couldn't say it all. Shaq something.
Just check.
Maybe Chip can do it right here. There's what's that? Shaq whatever. Shaq Eagum.
Yeah,
I didn't see the Black Panther.
Shaquam.
Did you learn that from the Black Panther movie?
Yeah,
No?
I did. I was watching it on the way over here.
But I think I'm the only one. I don't know if you guys see it. I think we're the only ones that
He
see
did
that movie.
22 reps at 225. Is that what he did?
20 reps at 225 with a prosthetic hand.
His best was only 16.
Prior to this.
Prior to that.
And I'm glad they didn't allow him. He didn't have to lock out that left arm. Just had to lock out the right because he couldn't, naturally couldn't lock that out. But he led his team. His team was undefeated this year.
And I'm going to tell you what, if you watched that last game they played,
I did.
He was all over the field. He was involved in every play.
And his twin brothers in the National Football League.
He's in Seattle.
He's in Seattle. But here's a bum. It gets the bum of the week. Anybody that thinks this guy's any good in football is crazy. I think it's a shame that they gave this bum the Heisman Trophy. Baker Mayfield, this is how the bum he is. They keep making excuses for him. No, he's not Johnny Manziel. He's worse than Johnny Manziel. At least Johnny Manziel had some excuses. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
No, he liked to drink and it had Skittles.
Yeah, Skittles. His bum. His dad's a bum. Just like some of these other coaches here. That's why they didn't want to give him a scholarship. Here's a guy that shows up for the Senior Bowl practices on Tuesday. Everybody else is there on Sunday. He shows up on Tuesday. Shows up to the game on Saturday. Leaves at halftime. And they keep making excuses for him. Just don't show up to the game. It's not a mandatory game. If you got something to do at halftime that you got to leave, and they had a flight going out for him. First, he stunk up the first half. He wasn't any good. He's not any good. If Cleveland Browns draft him, they deserve what they get. Bum of the week, bum of the draft will be Baker Mayfield. Whoever gets him deserves it. And that's what's on my mind.
You know that the Browns are always impressed by the press releases.
Yeah.
One of these days, they'll look at what somebody accomplishes on the football field, but probably not in our lifetime.
Take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Smoking Jim, thank you for your insights and exaggerations. They were appreciated. Thanks for bringing the race card out early and late.
Pittsburgh Steelers need to get white again.
Very interesting. Thanks, Smoking Jim. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. The most impressive statistic out of the NFL Combine. Roger Goodell ran a 5.41 40-yard dash.
I couldn't believe it.
And I'm telling you what, Roger, keep on working on that speed because Jerry Jones is coming for you. So,
there
you
go,
asked me
folks.
what's on my mind.
You hear it all on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
So, now I want to talk about something that we haven't really uttered two words about all year, okay? And I just want to give you some statistics to kind of talk about the futility that it was exhibited by a certain local team this year. And I don't think it could have gotten any worse. And luckily and painfully, it ended today. Now the University of, I won't mention their name, I'll just mention their accomplishments. There are 351 teams that play college basketball. There is only one of them that did not win a single conference game this year. The University of Pittsburgh Panthers, the once storied basketball program, a regular participant in the NCAA March Madness tournament, always fought for the top spot in the Big East, has finished their ACC season today, losing in the first round of the ACC tournament and going 0-19 in league play this year.
Wow.
Can it get any worse? First, what you do is Pitt brings in an athletic director who is supposed to be a basketball guy, right? Scott Barnes. Nobody mentions his name, and I think he should get the credit for destroying the Pitt basketball program. Because Jamie Dixon, for all of his flaws, consistently, year in and year out, you could count on him winning 20 games.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And more often than not, he made it to the NCAA tournament. Never made it to the Elite Eight, never made it to the Final Four, but every year he gave you a team that gave you hope going into the tournament because they'd usually go deep in the conference tournament. So, Scott Barnes didn't get along well with Jamie Dixon, and Jamie Dixon knew that his days were numbered. So Jamie bailed out at Pitt, and he's doing the kind of job that you would expect out of Jamie Dixon at TCU. So Scott Barnes goes out and hires his coach, okay, and then promptly leaves 3 months later, okay, for greener pastures. And I feel so bad for Heather Lyke, who is the athletic director for Pitt now, because she's stuck with a basketball coach that she didn't hire, okay. Now, because of the basketball coach, every member of the team from last year quit, with the exception of one. And so Pitt had to bring in 10 or 11 freshman basketball players this year. And the only veteran they had, Ryan Luther, got hurt in the preseason and didn't play all year. So now you've got freshmen. You've got freshmen coming out of every crack in the floor. And Pitt ended up the season 8-24. But to be the only one of 351 teams without winning a single conference game has got to be the biggest embarrassment and the biggest black mark on Pitt's storied basketball program. So what can Pitt do to put fans back in the seats at the Peterson Event Center? Wasn't it very long ago that you couldn't get a seat to the Pete? Well, now that's not so much. I mean, you could go to a Pitt game. It almost looks like a Pitt football game. There's so many empty seats in the stadium. So, the Pitt football program, even though they're underachievers, they do give you a little glimmer of hope by beating a highly ranked team at least once a season. So, that'll keep you with a crowd. Maybe one sellout a season. They got Penn State this year. They'll sell that out. Notre Dame usually comes into town, and all the Notre Dame fans within driving distance come to see the game. So they usually sell out there. So at this point, the question remains for Heather Lyke. What do you do with Kevin Stallings as your head basketball coach? There's a school of thought that, well, you got to give him a chance. He's got all these young players. All they learned how to do this year was take a beating. Okay, and I don't think that is a good lesson to teach a young team. And it's the fans are not turning out for the team. I personally think that it's probably time for him to go. But then again, once you're starting at square one, but you already blew up the program, you can't possibly do any worse than they did this year. And I think it's time to clean the slate. Bring in a coach that's going to be here for a while. I don't think any of the fan base has any confidence in Kevin Stallings, and it's time for Pitt to make the decision. So that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. Well, you're still part of my thunder. That's what's on my mind, because I remember getting phone calls from friends of mine. Hey, do you want to go to the Pitt game? I'd go, I'd love to. It'd be packed. One time I was down on the floor with one of my best friends, Dave Brown. We were right on the floor. Great seats, packed. I even forget who was playing. It was such a good game. They were competitive. Right? Yeah, Pitt was. And it was packed. And I saw the game was on at 2 o'clock or so today. And I was a little bit busy, and I didn't really listen to it until there was about 40 seconds left in the game. They were down by 2 points. 2 points. I go, that has to be a miracle. Because the morning line, they were underdogs by 19.
19, yes, sir.
So I was shocked, so I'm intrigued. I turned the radio up, I listened to it. Here they get the ball, and our guy's backing into a guy, and the referee called the offensive foul, sends the guy to the line. He makes the shots. Now 67 to 62. They're up by 5 points. And it was just...
Pitt hit a three-pointer. at the buzzer to make it a 3-point game.
It was a buzzer beater, and it got him close there. But, Dick Grote was going crazy. Hillgrove was going wild because they couldn't believe the call went against the Pitt offensive player. They go, he was taught to back into a guy and try to make a shot. Here they called the foul on the Pitt player, which is rare. So it just shocked me.
Usually a buzzer beater shot is a shot that you take as time is expiring to win a game, not to draw you within 3 points.
The point of this is, the point that I'm going to make about it is the kids didn't give up. They're all freshmen, and they constantly battled and come back, and they fired the shot up at the end. Who knows? People do that all the time, but there was no chance to win the game. And I think Stallings should be gone. The Pitt fan base is decimated. There's no doubt about it. Nobody's even calling me to go to a Pitt basketball game. I used to get 3-4 calls a year just to go to a Pitt game and see a couple games because it was packed. The excitement there and the crowd at the Pete, it was always fantastic.
The Oakland Zoo.
Yeah. So it's just disappointing to see a program go right into the toilet bowl like this. And they go 0-19. It's just shocking to not win a conference game. Although today they were close.
They were close, but you look at Kevin Stallings, and you want to.
That's called a small school, Notre Dame.
Everybody wants to blame Kevin Stallings, but I think the blame should lie with Scott Barnes, and I think he should get the Golden Statue, or maybe we should have a parade for him because the Browns celebrated.
We'll get Smoking Jim in charge of the parades. He likes the parades for losers and stuff like that, so he could have that parade.
We say it's just as hard to go undefeated as to go 0-.
But that's my point. You want to have a parade for losing.
I said to Alan about 3 weeks ago, and I asked him straight up, and I think Pitt still had like 5 ACC games left, and I said, do you think there's the possibility that Pitt could end up with no wins, and he without even a hesitation, he said absolutely. That's just
because I've listened and watched some of their games, and you could just see. Now Stallings may have been a good coach before, but he got here into a nightmare. So I mean, it's just a sad state of affairs. I like to talk positive about our black and gold, blue and gold, whatever it is, but I don't have it. And I was shocked not to even watch a game because in the past, I'd watch a game like this, first round of the Big East. I'd watch a basketball game.
Here's something that happened at the Gateway Girls won the WPIL championship this week.
Yay!
Something to cheer about at the Pete.
Yes, they did.
Thank you, Smoking Jim and Chip. And we're going to move on to Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Chip. And Fiction and Fact, I tell you what, I know it's no longer Black History Month, but you know what? I tell you what, every once in a while, I'm honored beyond words, and I was named this past week. I'll be the first Black ring announcer to announce the Golden Glove State Championship between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh this year. So very, very honored. Never always kind of wanted to be an announcer. Always thought Al Levine, the Talking Machine, would be much better suited for an announcer, ring announcer than me. I even told him that before, but
thanks, Smoking Jim.
I didn't want to get the position. I am now the ring announcer for the Golden Gloves in southwestern Pennsylvania, boxing, and didn't want to get it by losing Andy Sebastian, who was the best I ever heard. But so I'm happy to get it. Can always use another paycheck. But
how did it go last week?
Last week went good. But I tell you what. It was really a long way coming. my vision in boxing was always to be a boxing promoter, so I'm one step away from that dream. But to do the state of Pennsylvania Golden Gloves, will be not only the first ring announcer, but be the first ring announcer to also be doing the play-by-play on TV with Al Levine, the talking machine.
I can't wait to see that.
And I only know one other person on the planet that probably could even pull that feat off, and that's Al Levine, the talking machine. He could do it, but like I said, now my dream is to one day be the ring announcer, the play-by-play on TV, and the boxing promoter all in the same show.
And I'm sure our viewing audience is begging to know when the fights will be and where.
I'm sure I would like to know too. I didn't get that detail, but
why do you think I didn't ask any questions?
But I know on March 31st we're doing the Hall of Fame show, and just my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac will be quick. When I first started getting into boxing with the TV, man, it was tough. I remember the first show that Jimmy Savetic had me at, and we're scrambling around it. Nobody even know who we were, and
Did you have Jimmy, a camera?
We had a camera.
Okay,
and I asked
just
Jimmy,
checking, because usually that's not there.
That's not there. And I asked Jimmy where to set up. He said, well, you figure it out. So we're on our own. And then, man, after that, man, we started doing bigger and bigger shows, and nobody knew, man. So I would have to get to the venue early. I remember we did a show at Heinz Field. And do you know how hard it is for a black man not to be on time, but to be early? Man, I get there 3 hours before.
How hard was it?
Man, I get there 3 hours before the fights, man. We had no press credentials. Nobody knew who we were. I'm smoothing the security guards. I'm trying to set things up. I'm jumping in the ring. I'm trying to be visible. I'm in suits. And then I got all my guys showing up late. And then one time we had these, my co-host was a female.
No.
And she
say it ain't so.
And she was coming. She was a student at West Virginia University, beautiful white girl. And she shows up not only late, but she shows up with her roommate who was beautiful. And they're stuck they're late, so they can't get in. So I had to go in. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get them in. I don't have no passes, anything. I go there, and just happens to be a black security guard. He says, I know you. Yeah, they're good. They're with Smoking Jim. So we lucked out. And
hooray.
Yeah, so.
How did the fights go?
Fights went good.
I didn't even know he was talking about fights.
Yeah.
I heard the roommate.
yeah.
And his co-host. I was fairly locked on that.
Yeah.
That's why Smoking Jim likes me, because I stay focused on the task at hand.
Boxing. I tell you, stay focused on what's important.
Yeah, the fights went good, man. It was at Wolfpack Boxing. Carnegie. It went real well, man. The place was packed, standing room only. Felt bad for Shook. It was a Guinness Book of World Records. 2 6'8" guys fighting each other, heavyweights. Both of them was in shape. Shook fought this guy named Brian Mowry. He weighed in officially at, I said on the mic that he weighed in officially at 18¼ stones. And Shook had him the first couple of rounds. And the third round, he caught Shook on the chin. And I thought he knocked him out, but Shook said the reason he stayed down, he twisted his knee. He wasn't out, but it was enough. It was a shot that would knock anybody else out. He looked out, and we were looking eye to eye. I'm sitting down, I'm looking eye to eye.
Well, Smoking Jim, no offense, but I've been in many fights with you, and he thinks there's a lot of knockdowns and knockouts, so that's your first thought. After that, reality sinks in.
But I'm feeling bad because
Shook went down.
I seen USS Cunningham, and the 132-pound chip is probably the best, deepest division ever seen in Western Pennsylvania boxing. You got Silvio.
Yeah.
You got Sircone. You got Teddy is in it. And I just found out
Teddy Merconja
on the 31st Cunningham's son is fighting also in 132. I'm telling you, 132, these kids can really fight professionally.
They can bring it.
Cunningham's son is 14. I would turn him pro right now if I was his dad.
He said he has more to learn.
Yeah,
when we did a show at the USS Fight Academy.
In my opinion, dad's always a little different.
Your opinion is well respected by many,
and
including the guy that hired you to be the ring announcer.
Yeah, and Silvio's 16, and I think he can turn pro right now.
He has great technique.
And I don't know if little Johnny Spell's still fighting. He's 132.
I heard he's fighting.
So the 132 division is going to be tough. And if anybody knows me, when you give me the card, if it's a close fight, I may not even look at the card. I'll just go by who no disrespect to the judges, but I'm going to be going with who I think. I got the mic, so I mean, no disrespect. I'm going with who I think won.
Guess what? That's not going to go over too big.
It'll be a split decision.
It might be your first and last championship fights.
Yeah. I'll be another black man out of a job, huh?
Well, it's not going to be a long job. I'll guarantee that.
But we got prime rib on the 31st. I can't wait.
Okay.
And I know that one guy going into the Hall of Fame is Muscles Healy. That's all I know so far.
Ah, good. At least you're a wealth of information now.
But that's fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Very honored to be the ring announcer. That was a large Whoever thought I had the talent to be the ring announcer?
I knew you did the moment I met you. When you let me on the show, when one guy goes, here, you sit in and you do play-by-play with Smoking Jim.
Jim, a legend in your own mind.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my trivia segment. And I would like to start my trivia segment this week by wishing a very happy birthday to the second greatest Pirate player I saw in my lifetime. Happy birthday, Captain Willie. Willie Stargell's birthday is today, and that is the subject of my trivia this evening.
Barry Bonds the greatest?
No.
Okay.
No. Clemente would be a top, would be a solid number one. Okay. Willie Stargell would be a solid number two, without any question.
Or as Smoking Jim does it,
because see, Willie Stargell was good enough to be in the Hall of Fame.
That would be a Smoking Jim 1A.
Wilver Dornell Willie Stargell, born March 6, 1940, passed away on April 9th, 2001, on the day that PNC Park opened. Yeah. Nicknamed Pops in the later years of his career, he was a baseball player, played his entire Major League Baseball career, 21 seasons for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He started out in 1962 as a left fielder and a first baseman for the Pirates at the end of his career. Over his 21 career, he batted .282 with 2,232 hits, 423 doubles, 475 home runs, and 1,540 runs batted in, helping his team capture 6 National League East Division crowns, 2 National League pennants, and 2 World Series championships. 1971, 1979.
Happy birthday.
Stargell was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1988. He was born in Earlsboro, Oklahoma, but later moved to Florida to live with his aunt after his parents divorced. Later, he returned to Alameda, California to live with his mother. He attended Encino High School, where his baseball teammates included future Major League players Tommy Harper and Kurt Moulton.
Oh, yeah.
Stargell signed with the Pirates organization and entered minor league baseball in 1959. Stargell played for farm teams in New Mexico, Iowa, Texas, North Carolina, Ohio. While on the road with some of those teams, Stargell was not allowed to stay in the same accommodations as the white players.
Really?
He was black.
You know what? I don't know, Jim, but back in those days, racism was rampant.
Not like it is on our show.
So his career, beloved in Pittsburgh for his style of play and his affable manner, Stargell hit 7 of the 18 balls ever hit over Forbes Field 86-foot high right foot stands.
Wow.
Okay? And several of the upper tier home runs at its successor, Three Rivers Stadium. Though he became quickly known as Willie Stargell, his autograph suggests that he preferred his given name, Wilver. Biographer Frank Garland relates that Stargell's family and friend called him Wilver, and that Dodgers broadcaster, the great Vin Scully, also made a point of using Stargell's given name. Scully said that because he used the name Wilver, he became Stargell's mother favorite broadcaster.
Wow.
How about
And as a
that?
matter of fact, another famous Hall of Fame announcer used to also refer to him as Wilver Dornell Stargell, and that would have been the Gunner.
Never heard that.
Well, you would have to have been a fan of baseball, Jim.
You didn't listen to baseball till you got on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
When
buddy.
most batters used a
We
simple
understand.
lead-weighted bat in the on-deck circle, Stargell took the warming up with a sledgehammer.
Wow.
While standing in the batter's box, he would windmill his bat until the pitcher started his windup. And if anybody remembers watching Willie Stargell in the batter's
I do.
box, and he used to sit there and wind up, and man, I want to tell you what, when he hit a ball, you knew that ball got hit. Some of the most majestic home runs that I ever saw were hit by Willie Stargell. How many times did you see him hit a ball into the swimming pool at Jerry Park
Yes.
in Montreal?
Wow.
I know Alan said that.
I
Stargell
did.
made his major league
I seen
debut
it.
in 1962 at the age of 22. His 63 rookie season was lackluster. He enjoyed much more success the following season, his first as an everyday player. Stargell began and ended the season as the Pirates' everyday left fielder. I remember watching him play left field at Forbes Field with my father and my grandfather.
Wow.
I thought he was a first baseman.
At the end of his career, when his legs gave out on him and he couldn't cover the outfield, he went to playing first base. He made his first of 7 trips to the All-Star game in 1964. He returned to the All-Star game the next 2 seasons, hitting over 100 RBIs in both years and finishing respectively 14th and 15th in MVP voting.
Wow.
He won the first of 3 National League Player of the Month award in 1965. Stargell had, he wasn't a slave to working out, and I could get into much more detail regarding his Hall of Fame career. But in the 70s, Willie Stargell was the linchpin of what was known as the Pittsburgh Lumber Company, and the Pittsburgh Lumber Company included such bats as Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, Bill Madlock, who was traded to the Pirates from the Cubs,
Never heard
and
of him.
Richie Zisk, who replaced Roberto Clemente in right field. The Pirates of the 70s, they used to say the Pirates would arrive into the cities they played in 2 planes. The team would arrive on one, and the bats would arrive on another one.
Wow. I like that.
Now, also,
They had a lot of lumber.
yeah. Also, one of the things that Willie Stargell did was he was a businessman and he helped the local economy. He owned some fried chicken joints up in the Hill District, and one of the things that Bob Prince used to announce during the games when Willie Stargell would get up and the Pirates needed a big hit, and the story goes that when Willie Stargell hit a home run, if you were in one of his restaurants, there was chicken on the hill when it was on Will.
Yeah.
So that's what Bob Prince used to always say. Stargell would come to bat with runners on base to put some chicken on the hill with Will.
Yeah.
And that was one of my fondest memories of him. But Willie Stargell,
They have ribs too or just chicken?
I have no idea.
I was about to say.
Because,
I know some people that had that chicken on the hill.
yeah.
Is it good?
They were there, yeah.
But he reached the
great.
pinnacle of his career in 1979 when he became co-MVP of the National League with Keith Hernandez of the St. Louis Cardinals, and he and Terry Bradshaw in 1979
On that
became
cover.
Sports Illustrated co-athletes of the year.
Oh, yeah?
Stargell for taking the Pirates to the World Series in 1979, winning in 7 games. Terry Bradshaw captained the Steelers to the Super Bowl in 1979. The first time that any one city had 2 major championships at one time. Hence, we became the City of Champions. But just a good thought for Willie Stargell. One of the greatest Pirates I ever saw play. And I put him right up there with Roberto Clemente as one of the 2 best that I have seen in my lifetime.
And he wasn't as good as Pete Rose. Would you agree with that?
Happy birthday, Willie.
Well,
He
Jim,
was better.
well, Jim, to answer your question, Willie's in the Hall of Fame. Pete never will be.
Yeah. Guy got the most singles in Major League Baseball will not be in the Hall of Fame.
You could hear his bats too, huh?
Thanks, Chip Hayner. Appreciate your
job,
trivia. On location. Just saw Frank Fanera today at his pizza shop in Bethel Park. He goes, I can't wait to see you guys come out. Who do you got coming out? I said, I got a couple guys, Skeets Lewandowski and C.C. Clark, a boxer. And I said, Smokin' Jim got a bunch of people we haven't confirmed yet. And Smokin' Jim still hasn't confirmed that. But we'll continue on with On Location. $5 pizza, $5 large pizzas with 1 topping, and also $5 hoagies are available all day at Olive Oil's Pizzeria and more in Brookline Boulevard, 930 Brookline Boulevard. We will be there from 7:30 to 8:30. We'll see you there for another great show. We got some people coming out to watch us. They said they would come and see our show, so we'll be there. And then on the 19th, we'll be back again at Hollywood Lanes. And we got head coach of CMU baseball and his team coming out of CMU. So we'll have some good conversation there. And there's some other guests. This Master Zhang has a Taekwondo studio who broke a board over my head 2 years ago when he was there. He said, would you eat a hoagie and I'll break a board over your head? Well, we did that. It's no problem. Another first on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Yes, sir.
So he said he would be back and he has some interesting things going on. Smokin' Jim said he has so many guests he doesn't know what to do with them all. So we will figure that out, folks. But come out to Hollywood Lanes, 7:30 to 8:30. That's at 2961 West Liberty Avenue. There's a Dunkin' Donuts right above. Hit the red door, walk down the steps, and that's where we are doing our show. A lot of great guests, a lot of energy there. If you think Smokin' Jim performs well on this show, you have to see his opening of What's on Your Mind when he gets about 35 octaves higher.
And what date is this?
This is the 19th of
Okay.
March. Come
That's your
on out
birthday.
at Hollywood
Your birthday,
Lanes.
your birthday in September.
Yes, it is. September
It's still the 6th. Smokin' Jim's a little lost on birthdays. I'm so happy. My brother from another mother is a ring announcer extraordinaire. He has the talent and the skills, and he's an entertainer. So that's what's really nice, because he makes up a lot of this stuff as he goes along. So come on out to both of our On Locations. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say, and if not, he repeats about 80% of what he says and adds about 15% and then mixes in a couple other things. So we always have some great fun. His openings are knock your socks off. People can't believe what he says.
Thanks, Machine.
And I hate to bust his bubble, but I've heard it. So I can't wait to hear it again. Steelers just want to, never mind. That's a good one. But that's our On Location report. We'll be back with some Pittsburgh Penguin talk. Don't change that dial. Chief, get your dessert. Anybody else watching, go to the bathroom. I got informed by our Rookie of the Year, Steve, we only have like 9 minutes to go on our show. So somehow we're going to talk about Pittsburgh Penguins. They just won another game. Great game against Calgary. They got lucky. The head coach said we could have played better, but we did get lucky and won the game. So,
Tell you, I was talking with Devin Shea prior to the show, and I think one of the things that I would like to see happen in the National Hockey League, okay, and if you end up tied at the end of regulation, each team is awarded a point, and if you win in overtime, then you get an extra point.
I like that.
So there really is no reason for the team to try to win it in a regulation
Helping Philly
because they're going to get a point anyhow.
Right.
Okay? And what I would like to see is do away with a point for ties. You should not be rewarded for tying somebody. There, you play games to their completion. There's a winner. They get 2 points. There's a loser. They get no points. I think that would make the regular season games much, much better, and you would see the kind of intensity in the regular season that you see in the NHL in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
well, there's 2 different seasons, so you have to reconcile that. 82
Well,
games.
and that all being said, and the Penguins are playing very well. I understand Matt Murray was skating in full uniform and with all his equipment the other day, which is just another step in the concussion protocol process. He should be. Tristan Jarry has been.
He's still out. Still out? I didn't know that.
Yes,
It's only been a week.
He got hit in the head a week ago Monday in practice and suffered a concussion, and he has not yet been fully released. Now I know the Penguins play again tomorrow night, and I think who knows, we may see him then.
Maybe he'll be back.
But the trade that was made, it seemed like the Penguins taking some time to getting used to the changes made in their team and where the changes have hurt them. We sacrificed defense for offense, and that was no more noticeable than when we went to Boston and gave up 8 goals in the first 2 periods against the Boston Bruins. Right. And, they played the last 2 games very well, won them both in overtime, and it seems like once they get to overtime, when they go to overtime, they're playing 3-on-3.
It's a nice game.
There's 3 forwards and a goaltender in each end. And, the Penguins 3-on-3 against anybody, I'll take them every day of the week.
They're the number 1 penalty team here, scoring penalty.
Yeah, power
PKs,
play.
Power
play, yes.
I mean, they haven't had many penalties against them, but
no, and you know what? They've got the rest of the regular season here. They must maintain their winning pace to be able to be positioned for the playoffs. And they've got a tough road ahead of them. I mean, everybody thinks that after the trade for Brassard, that the Penguins have the Stanley Cup locked up. And I'm telling you right now, keep your eyes on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Sure.
The Tampa Bay Lightning is equally as good of a team as the Penguins are, and are quite capable of contending for the Cup this year.
They got size, they got speed. They can play. There's
there's no question. And they gave the Penguins all they could handle last year. I believe they took them to 7 games.
They took them to 7.
So I'm sure they're just champing at the bit to get into another 7-game series with the Penguins and to test their mettle.
Everybody's been coming after the Penguins this year. It doesn't matter whether they've lost 10 in a row or
29
whatever.
other teams.
Right.
There's only one team at the end of the season that had a good season, right, Jim? It's the way it is in football. It's the way it is in baseball. There's only one winner. Everybody else is...
except for the year...
what happened?
The Warriors won 73-9. They had a great year.
And they lost the championship.
It's okay. They're in the record books. That's all that matters.
No, but they, what? And remember what the Patriots did? They were 18-1. Nobody remembers who won. They came in second.
Smoking Jim does when it suits his needs.
But Penguins are rolling on their way, and I think they're going to give it a strong run for the NHL Stanley Cup this year.
3-peat. I'm staying with 3-peat.
Even though they do have quality backup goaltenders, Matt Murray's going to stay healthy for them to have a solid chance for the Cup. And
well, as you pointed out, he's been hurt 7 times in the last 2 years. He still won 2 cups. So even though he's not like Smoking Jim's brittle brothers, He's won 2 championships.
You know what? You can't argue.
How
with
do you
success.
argue that?
How do you argue with success? I know this young man right here would find a way. I personally don't.
He would.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
Maybe.
$14.5 million. Can Le'Veon Bell feed his family with that?
Your family too.
You know,
yours too could eat on that.
Here's the thing that gets me is that Le'Veon wants his contract to average annually $14.554 million.
I would pay it.
You know, I don't know. See, I'm not a very big advocate of giving in to every single player's demands. I think that honestly, that the player has to look at, you know, I want to do what's best for me, but also think about, you know, some loyalty to the organization that put him on the map. I don't know what the contract negotiations are like, but I find it kind of interesting considering his past. Now, we're not talking about somebody that has led a stellar career off the field. We're talking about a player who's one missed test from a year-long suspension, just like Martavis Bryant. Now, you know, yes, he was active for all 16 games, but because he sat out training camp, he didn't really play the first 3, okay? So then
it took a while.
Then he sat out the 16th game, okay? So, you know, so he played 12 games last year, and you played him $12.5 million. Not bad change for a guy that's, you know, playing a game of football. Let's call it what it is. You know, personally, I wouldn't really go too far, and I wouldn't guarantee him that much money. You know, I'd sign him to a contract. I'd guarantee him. But here's what tagging him did to the Steelers. This morning when I woke up, the Steelers were $5 million under the cap.
They're always lying.
Okay, and at 4:01 today, the Steelers were $9 million over the cap. So there's going to be some contract renegotiations to get them back under the cap. And to be honest with you, I'm getting a little fed up with Le'Veon Bell and his contract demands. Here's what. We got him for $14.5 million. We got him for 1 more year. Run the wheels off him. And usually a running back's shelf life, 5-6 years.
No, 3 or 4 years.
Well, you know, and you get another good year out of him. And you know what?
Put it like this:
$14.5
million. If he can't feed his family, I'll pray for him. It's more than enough money. It's more than anybody else is making in the league as a running back.
The facts of the matter is, and I know Jim will probably disagree with me on this, but the Steelers guaranteed him more money if he would have extended last summer, okay, than he's making off the franchise tag last year and this year.
I don't believe it.
So, you know.
$32 million they guaranteed.
I don't believe that.
You know.
Another black or gold lie.
Okay.
Smoking Jim, you can live your
so
life
hey,
by
we only got a
believing
few
them,
minutes. Pirates are playing well in spring training, getting a lot of good pitching performances out of their young pitching staff. Jamison Tyon looks like he's ready to step up and be the ace of the staff.
And maybe Glasnow will be
and
fine.
he's doing something that we didn't see out of Jarrett Cole. He's actually being a leader on the team. And can you imagine what will happen if the Pirates actually had players that were leaders?
Well, we got to end it. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate all the help. Devin Shea, Steve, Dave Cable, and please stay Joey strong.